Long ago, before memory became myth, deep within the thick emerald jungles of what is now forgotten land, there existed a kingdom unlike any other. This was a land where the trees whispered secrets and the rivers carried stories. The people lived by the old ways, planting in rhythm with the moon, praying to the spirits of wind and rain, and respecting the harmony between man and nature. But power, it disturbs all balance. The kingdom was ruled by Prince Ikon, a man so breathtaking in appearance that maidens wept at the sight of him, and elders bowed without question. Yet, his beauty was rivaled only by his arrogance. Ikon was proud, cold, and pitiless. He wore leopard skin cloaks and gold around his throat, but his heart was as hollow as the skulls he hung outside his palace to strike fear. He taxed the poor for amusement, starved villages to build more palaces, and silenced anyone who dared speak of the old ways. He believed himself untouchable, favored by the gods, and no one dared challenge him. Until one day, a woman came. She was no noble, no warrior. She arrived barefoot, her skin pale from age, her body draped in moss and tangled vines. Her eyes glowed faintly green, like leaves catching sunlight. She leaned on a crooked staff made of twisted bone. Guards moved to block her, but she raised one hand, and the wind howled. The torches died. The animals scattered. She walked straight into the throne room. "I seek no silver," she said. "I seek no crown. I bring warning, Prince of Pride. The forest is crying. You have unbalanced the world." Ikon laughed in her face. "The only thing crying is your mouth, old one. Guards, toss this leaf-covered hag into the river. Let her talk to the fish." But before they could touch her, she turned to him and whispered, "May you become the hunger you have caused." The ground shook. A strange silence fell over the palace. That night, thunder roared without clouds. Lightning split trees without rain. And in the prince's chamber came the sound of bones breaking. He screamed. His skin grew rough. His legs melted into a tail. His tongue forked. His eyes slit like blades. And when he tried to speak, only hissing came out. Prince Ikon became something terrible, half man, half serpent. A creature cursed to live in darkness, never to know peace, never to be loved, and never to die. He vanished into the forest, leaving behind a palace of gold and terror. From that night forward, his name was never spoken again. But the forest remembered, the spirits remembered, and the curse had only just begun. Many generations passed, and the story of Prince Ikon faded into whispers told by firelight. Most believed it to be just a legend, a tale to frighten children into obedience. But every year, without fail, the forest demanded a price. Storms would rise from still skies, rivers would flood, crops would turn black before harvest. And then, the voice would come, a whisper on the wind, a hiss through the leaves. The elders knew the sound too well. "Send me a bride, or the land will die." And so began the offering ritual. Every harvest season, the villagers of the region would gather. A girl was chosen not by lot but by fear, always someone poor, someone without strong family ties, orphaned, quiet, different. They would bathe her in herbs, dress her in white, and at dawn walk her to the edge of the forest, where she would disappear forever. No one ever returned. Some believed the snake consumed them. Others said he kept them in a prison of roots and stone. But no one knew the truth. No one dared search. Until the year of the double drought. That year the sky refused to weep. The sun burned the soil to dust. The rivers cracked. Children starved. Even the trees began to wilt. Fear spread like fire. The elders gathered again. This time it was not one village but 7. And it was decided 2 brides would be sent. 7 girls were brought forward. Among them was one who did not cry. Neria. She was just 19. A weaver's daughter with calloused hands and quiet eyes. She had no father. Her mother was blind. But her spirit was strong like coiled rope. When the elders spoke her name, her mother screamed, fell to her knees. "Please, not her. She is all I have. I can't live without her. She's my sight and the only thing left for me in this world." But Neria stood. "If the land dies, what life do we have? I will go, but not as a bride." The elders blinked. "Then what are you?" And she said, "I go as a voice." She turns to her mother, consoled her and assured her that she will come back safe for her, even though she was never sure of that. That night, the villagers came to watch her departure. Some brought gifts, others prayers. A few spit in the dirt, thinking her arrogant. But Neria did not waver. She wore no jewels, no crown, only her weaver's wrap and a charm her mother had made, an old tooth carved with symbols of protection. As the sun rose, she turned her back to her people and walked into the forest alone. No one dared follow, but the trees, they watched her come. As Neria stepped past the first veil of trees, the forest changed. It was not the forest she knew from foraging or fetching firewood. This forest was ancient, alive. The trees breathed. The wind hummed low songs. Leaves did not fall. They floated like spirits unsure of where to land. Neria's feet sank slightly with every step. The earth here was soft, almost pulsing like flesh. The deeper she walked, the more the world behind her vanished. The birds fell silent. The sky turned dim, though the sun had not set. Then came the voices. They did not speak with words, but with emotions. Sadness, hunger, rage, loss, all flowing like currents in the air. She was not alone. On the third day, the forest tested her. She woke to find her path blocked by a wall of thorns. When she tried to turn back, the way behind her had changed. She was trapped in a loop. Then came a figure, a child, or something shaped like one. The skin was bark, its eyes hollow. It stood beside a dying flower, weeping soundlessly. Neria, without fear, knelt beside it. "Are you lost?" she whispered. The child raised its hand and touched her cheek, then crumbled into dust. In her hand, a glowing stone was left behind, soft as moonlight, warm to the touch. She kept it. Nightfall came with a new horror. The forest groaned and breathed heavy. Shadows twisted into shapes, some tall, some crawling. One moment a tree looked normal. The next it had eyes. Then she heard it, his hiss, long cold, ancient. She followed the sound, not with her ears, but with instinct. It was as if something beneath her bones pulled her forward, through tunnels of roots, across bridges made of twisted limbs, past the bones of those who had come before her, some still clutching the offerings they were meant to deliver. And at last, she found the cave. The entrance yawned like the mouth of a beast, jagged, black, and steaming slightly. Skulls lined the edges, some human, some not. Neria gripped her charm. She stepped in. Inside was cold, echoing. The walls dripped like they bled. In the center, coiled around a throne of rock and bones, was a creature larger than 10 men. The scales shimmered like oil. Its eyes burned with gold fire. And when it spoke, the cave vibrated. "You are not afraid," it said. And Neria, voice steady, replied, "I am not here to die. I am here to speak." The snake chief watched Neria in silence. His massive coils shifted slightly, the sound like dry leaves brushing over stone. He could crush her in a breath. Yet, he did not. Instead, he leaned forward. His face was no longer fully that of a snake. His mouth bore fangs, yes, but his brow had the shape of a man. His voice, though distorted, held echoes of sorrow. "You are not the first," he said, "but you are the first to stay." Neria stood firm and asked, "Then the others?" The snake chief replied, "They were neither afraid or angry, or they wept, and I do not like the taste of tears. I sent them away." Neria's hand tightened around the glowing stone in her pocket. The snake chief turned, slithering through the cave. "Come, walk with me." She followed. Deeper into the cave they went, through chambers lined with ancient symbols, bones hung like ornaments, and fire pits that burned without wood. One wall shimmered, not with stone, but with murals carved and painted in blood and ash. They told stories of a prince, kingdom, curse, and one terrible act. At the center of it all was an image of a woman cloaked in vines, her hand raised, her eyes glowing. Neria recognized her, the spirit from the stories. She turned to the snake chief. "You were him," she said. He nodded once, slowly. In shock, Neria echoed Prince Ikon. He paused at that name. It trembled in the cave. "I was, once, before the hunger." "What hunger?" Neria asked. He turned to her, his voice cracking with something that might have once been grief. "The hunger for power, for control, for worship. I wanted the world to kneel, so I made it bleed." "And now?" she asked. He said nothing, but in the silence, the ground trembled. A hidden door opened. Inside was a chamber of mirrors, not ordinary ones. They reflected not her face, but her fate. One mirror showed her old, wise, wrapped in red robes, teaching children. Another showed her lying in the forest, bloodied, dead. Another, twisted, monstrous, showed her as a serpent, just like him. In the center of the room was a black pool, still as glass. Neria stepped forward, knelt, and touched it. Images burst into her mind, and in her vision she saw the moment the prince laughed at the spirit, the curse twisting his body, the years of loneliness, the first offering, the slow decay of his mind, and finally, Ikon, weeping in the dark, whispering apologies to no one. She awoke from the vision with tears in her eyes. The snake chief watched her, quiet, waiting. "You were not born a monster," Neria said. "You were made one, and chose to stay that way." She removed the glowing stone from her pocket, the one gifted by the forest spirit child, and held it to his forehead. "Choose again." The cave screamed. Light exploded. The mirrors shattered. The symbols on the walls ignited in golden flame. The bones turned to dust. And Ikon, the snake chief, roared as his body twisted and cracked. His scales split. His fangs vanished. His tail split into legs. The air smelled of burning curses. And when it was over, a man, wounded, scarred, sobbing, knelt before her. Ikon, but not as a prince, but as a man reborn. Prince Ikon knelt there in the ashes of his curse, shaking from pain and memory. His skin was pale and streaked with golden cracks where scales had once clung. His eyes, no longer serpentine, were human, but heavy with centuries of guilt. Neria stood over him. Her breath was slow, controlled. Prince Ikon whispered, "Why? Would you help me?" And Neria said simply, "Because someone had to remember the man beneath the monster." Outside the cave, the forest had already begun to change. The trees lifted their drooping branches. The sky cracked open with light. Rivers that had dried into dust began to trickle again, clear and cold. And from the heart of the forest, a breeze carried voices, whispers of freed souls. The brides who had come before, their sorrow lifted, their names finally spoken. Neria and Ikon walked side by side through the forest. He stumbled often. His limbs were weak, but he did not hide his pain. Along the way, the spirit child appeared once more, glowing faintly beside a tree, no longer weeping. Neria bowed to it. Ikon tried, but collapsed. The child stepped forward and touched his chest. A vine bloomed from the ground, encircling his arm like a mark of blessing. He revealed to them that the glowing stone given to Neria by the spirit child once belongs to Prince Ikon, betrayed younger brother, who tried to stop his cruelty and mischiefs, and was cast into the woods by the prince order. Hearing this, Ikon wept bitterly, but in joy, with happiness, the spirit waved at them and disappeared. Prince Ikon's strength was fully recovered, and now he can walk down to the village. When Neria returned to the village with Ikon at her side, chaos erupted. People screamed, some ran, others cried. Children clung to their mothers. The elders stood frozen, their faces pale as bone. "Is this a trick?" One spat. "He was a beast, a demon." Neria raised her voice, stronger than it had ever been. "Yes, and he is no longer." She told them the truth of the curse, the spirit's warning, the forest's pain, and the centuries of sacrifice. She named the women lost. She named the injustice. She named the man who once ruled, and who now begged only for a chance to repair what he had broken. Some demanded his death. Others begged Neria to become their queen. But she silenced them all. No more kings. No more monsters. Only healing. Ikan stayed. He slept on the ground. He tilled soil. He built homes. He taught the children how to listen to the forest, how to offer gifts not of blood, but of balance. He never sought forgiveness, but slowly found him. Neria did not marry him. She chose her own path, but they remained close, two souls bound by fate and fire. Together, they built a school near the forest's edge. Their stories were told, truths were taught, and the names of the forgotten were carved into stone. Every year, on the day of her journey, the villagers gathered at the school and lit a great fire, not of mourning but of memory. The other with a threaded needle, a weaver's mark. And there, the wind hums a lullaby, soft and slow, a song of sorrow, a song of change, a song that says, even the darkest curse can be broken by a heart brave enough to listen and kind enough to forgive. That is the end of the story. I hope you enjoyed the story. Please like, comment, and subscribe to keep the channel growing. Thanks.